Good afternoon to one and all present here. We are very excited about the book launch of our much-awaited Trollitically Incorrect by Chetna Keer. Let's give her a huge round of applause, everyone. Our chief guest, Mr. Ramesh Vinayak, Executive Editor, Hindustan Times, Punjab. Guest of honor, Mr. Vivek Atre, motivational speaker, author and former IS officer. Our esteemed guests and members of the media, thank you for joining us here today and I welcome you all. Our dear author Chetna is a senior journalist with more than 25 years of experience in the print media. She is popular as the social media critic, critiquing trends through her humor column, Literati, in Hindustan Times. Chetna is also an author of the children's book, Bellies Go on a Beauty Parade, published by Rupa & Co. in 2005. Our Travelista author is a travel writer, broadcaster doing shows with FM Gold, AIR, like Destination India. She is the guest faculty at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. Let's give her a huge round of applause and welcome her as well. Mr. Vinayak, before we begin, I would request you to please join us on stage and share a few words. I'd also request Chetna and Mr. Atre to be seated. We're very excited to listen to the conversation after this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so pleased to be with so many familiar faces, and thank you, Chetna, for having me over.
It's my honor and privilege.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
For your book. And it's actually a milestone in your creative journey. And by the way, Chetna and I have something in common, which is that both of us started our career with the Tribune.
Yes.
And she, I guess, is about 4-5 years junior to me.
Yes.
She started from Chandigarh and I started from Amritsar, way back in
I joined the year which you left Tribune.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was joking with her the other day that not many people leave the Tribune. And especially 20 years ago, like Tribune was seen like provincial civil service and extremely well-paying organization, great institution, and a lot of comfort level. So not many people would dare leave the organization, and so I was joking that not many people leave the Tribune, but whosoever does, he or she grows and kind of makes his or her mark. I can say with bit of humility and.
No, you're living it.
I remember when, as a young reporter, I spoke to the then news chief, editor-in-chief, Mr. B. N. Narayanan. I told him that I would like to move on, and he said, "No, we won't let you go." And you are doing a fantastic job out of Amritsar. And so then he asked me that, "Where do you intend taking up your next job?" So I said, "Well, I have an offer from India to imagine." He said, "Then I won't hold you back." And I remember he said, Tribune, he called it the Tribune treadmill, that you're moving, but perhaps you are not growing to your potential. And India Today was notorious for its revolving door, that not many people would survive in India Today. They had very high attrition rate, and I was fortunate to survive in India Today for about 18 years before I took up my third job in Hindustan Times. So I was, going through the copy that she presented me the other day, copy of her book, and the first thing that comes to my mind about Chetna is that she's one of, our bright-eyed journalists who has really reinvented, rediscovered herself while kind of pursuing her journalistic journey. She is very smart in that sense, and this book is a testimony to her versatility as an author. I remember a couple of years ago when we were remaking our Chandigarh supplement, ST Chandigarh, which is the local news pull-out. And so we decided that we should have our own Sunday magazine, which would give platform to new as well as established writers from the Tri-City and even beyond. So initially we were very kind of unsure of this, that what would be the response like? Will we have enough columnists to write for our local pull-out? And I'm happy to report that our Sunday magazine is one of the most widely read supplements, and I'm so glad that I am sitting here in the company of three of my most popular columnists. Starting with my senior colleague, Mr. Vivek Gatre, and of course, Chetna.
And all on the same Sunday.
All on
Absolutely, that's
they're all on the same page.
Exactly. That's another column I remember, just because I had been with the Tribune, I knew the Tribune DNA, and so I knew that their middle is very popular column. Another very regular columnist, Mr. Deswal is also sitting here. So we started something called the Spice of Life. It was counter to the Tribune middle, and initially I started it once a week. Again, not sure what is the response like. Now we are 5 days a week, and there's a huge waiting list. There's a queue, and the most satisfying part in both the columns has been that 80% of the contributors are females. And they are from all over. They are, homemakers, they are, college lecturer, they are school teacher, they are grandmother. So that's very kind of gratifying aspect. Chetna, you have actually lived up to your name. Chetna means consciousness.
Yes, thank
so
you.
she has been very consciously kind of, moving in step with times. And her column, Ferntree, which is essentially a critique, a witty critique on social media. And we all know that, how difficult it is to deal with social media. I call it the tyranny of social media, where, abuse is free. Social media is so democratic, it's free for all, and yet answerable to none. So you have really created a new genre of writing, through your column and through your book. And that's a remarkable achievement on your part. And I first again compliment you, congratulate you, and we all look forward to having a wonderful conversation between you and Mr. Atre about the book, its content, how did it come about. But more power to your pen.
Thank you.
And we look forward to more books, from your repertoire. And I really thank you all for listening to me. And wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rameshji. Very warm words, well spoken. And Chetna, welcome to your own book launch at this press club, which is the scene of many not a crime, but many an event which I've been part of, and it's always wonderful to be on stage for a different kind of event. This book, which we shall officially release in a while, I guess, some of us on stage, Trollitically incorrect. But just to kick off proceedings, before I ask you to speak and read also, just to give a context. Firstly, thank you for making us feel at home, Rameshji. Nirupama ji, Chetna ji and I are all literally on the same page every second Sunday. So all of you who don't read our columns, you better read them now.
Part of the HT family.
Part of the HT family.
Yeah.
So that's not a threat, but it's just the way people speak these days, and leading up to the subject of your book. People don't request other people to do something. You're cordially invited, please make it convenient or something like that. They just say, be there, better be there, see you there. See you there is still better. So it's an era where niceties, courtesy calls, sitting over a cup of tea at someone's home, calling on, things like that have gone out of the window. And those who still do them, congratulations to them, because they're still living in the gloried times where you could actually sit with someone and enjoy a cup of tea or a coffee over a conversation which was full of exchange, nuances, subtle variations. You could go from one topic to another. This is the era of instant gratification.
Absolutely.
And you tend to send a message and think that it's done, and you move on to something else. So we're living in a virtual world. I attended a session once where I spoke on being virtually yours. So you're not actually yours or really yours, you're virtually somebody else's. And that could go to any extent. But Chetna, coming to the topic and your writing and your book, so first make some opening remarks on how you got into being a writer of this genre.
First of all, heartfelt thanks to all of you for sparing your valuable time to be here today. And a very special thanks to Mr. Vinayak for his kind words and to Mr. Atre. And I think a lot of credit for this column and my experimenting with this genre of critiquing the social media goes to Mr. Vinayak also, because I was going to start this column and I asked him what would be my brief. So he gave me total freedom to evolve it the way I wanted to. So his showing full faith in me and that full freedom that I was given really helped me experiment with critiquing the social media in a hilarious, in a tongue-in-cheek manner. And as far as this book taking shape, though I've been writing now for 25 years, there were some little provocations for it. The column was, of course, bumbling along, as P.J. Woodhouse would say, and it would have bumbled along without me writing the book. But one day, my son was on some social media, and I asked him, how does this work, and what do you do? And he was on Snapchat or something, and I asked him, how is it different from, the other media? And he very impatiently tried to, describe it to me, and then he just gave up on me, and he said, "Mom, we're just not on the same page." So the creature whom I gave birth thought me a subject of mirth. So that was one provocation. Then over one's journey as a writer, especially there are many occasions one gets to hear a certain sentence, whether it's from peers or from bosses or even from personal friends, and that's, you're told sometime or the other, we are not on the same page. That's cool, somebody thinks. But there have been times, whether it's publishers or, bosses, they've said, we're not on the same page, but we'll pray for you. And you know how God is. The moment he hears the word pray, he stopped to hear the conversation. And one day he finally whispered in my ears, "Baby, high time you had your own pages." So that's how the idea of, turning this writing about the social media into a book, crystallized.
Yeah, very interesting. But I really want to come to what intrigues me about your writing. And it may intrigue others as well. It is the play with words. So this play with words is, replete in all the pages in your book. It's in all the sentences that you write in your column. It is so witty and so, if I can use a negative word but in a positive way, so delightfully twisted. I mean, the way you actually come up with meaning within meaning and meaning within meaning. And then something which I don't do in my writings, I also write humor. I have 2 humorous novels.
You're so good at
I don't use Hindi. But then you're able to use that Hindi Punjabi to make it even more impactful. So this way of writing, how did you come across it and how did you get into it? And now, because I've interacted with you also on before the book, after the book, on WhatsApp or something, I think you also write your text messages in a similar way.
Yes,
So are you able to write straight anymore, or is it all witty?
I even edit my messages. I mean, if I feel some comma is not there or colon is not there, I will go back to editing my messages. Thank you, Vivek. Coming to the style of writing, that's what we are talking. The part which you say there's a bit of Hindi tossed in, a bit of twisting, a bit of Punjabi. It's because I think in
That way.
these languages. So whatever I write, it gets a little bit of a Punjabi tarka or whatever. And the style, I think it's taken a long time to evolve. I've been writing middles from the start, ever since I was in Tribune, and so I did enjoy writing in humor. And but I guess reading a lot of P.G. Woodhouse and a lot of contemporary writers also doing good humor writing. But this play of words, I think it's just I don't know. I mean, it's not any particular trigger for it, but I think I just sort of it just grew on me, and I'm happy to say, as Mark Twain very rightly said, that there are two important days in a person's life: the day he is born and the day he finds out why. So I feel glad that today is a convergence of both those moments. And today, when I look back at my journey as a writer, today I know that entire career of journalism, of being a journalist, of being a writer, was leading up, to this book. So this was its moment of being born. And I think writing a lot of middles and really helps with evolving this kind of writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can make your own style.
Great middle writers, so
So many great middle writers here. Great writers here.
Great writers.
Many columnists I can see in the hall, and many good writers, great writers. The thing is that if you can evolve your own style, it's an achievement.
Thank you.
And to be noticed for it. Now, you mentioned in your intro, the first word is Chetna Keer is a Woodhouseian humorist. Right. Now, if I can tease you a little, that's a little bit of a self-compliment. But, I mean, to be able to play with words so frequently on a page, I think you probably win the award for the most number of play with words on any one page. I mean, I've never seen anyone. I will read out later maybe something which I particularly found to be something like that. I will. But just to complete what I was talking about, this ability to play with words and to think and to express is what writing is about. I mean the result which comes is the ability to express what you feel in a manner that perhaps even the reader may not appreciate or understand, because not on the same wavelength necessarily. Everyone cannot be, but still to have universal appeal. Woodhouse could make magic with words, and he did, and he does in our hearts or minds when we read. And in fact, I've seen people who go for a literature exam or for an English exam, and they're not reading their course books, but they're reading Woodhouse, so that they get into that frame of mind and that flair for writing. I do it. Before I sit down to write, if I've had some other kinds of activities happening, I read Woodhouse for a while.
Yeah, I do it every morning. I have to read 2-3 pages of Woodhouse before starting my day.
So that's your scripture then. If you read it every morning, it's your scripture.
It's like
Okay, let's come to the book.
Yeah.
And perhaps later you'll also be reading something.
Yeah.
Firstly, what I noticed was the illustrations, apart from what is there. So who did the illustrations here? I mean, they're superb. I'm sure you'll have a look later.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good. I mean, the caricatures of Mr. Sidhu, Mr. Tharoor, Mr. Arnab Goswami, I mean, they're fantastically done.
Yeah.
You want to keep it a secret?
Yeah, that's the
All
best.
right.
That's the best kept secret about the book.
All right. All right.
So a lot of the illustrations were, as the credits also mentioned, I conceptualized them, and I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew what dialogue I wanted, with the sketches.
Yeah,
so in fact, all the dialogues have been written by me.
Okay.
So we worked in tandem with the illustrator, and it was all teamwork, and we.
So let me read out the dialogues that Mr. Sidhu and Arnab and Mr. Tharoor are, coming up with on page number 75. So it says, Mr. Sidhu says, number 280, Oye Guru hoja shuru. Twitter ki thoko tali. Twitter de chak de phatte, nap te killi. Twitter chha gaye Guru again. And Arnab Goswami says number 280 again, for some reason.
That is when the characters on Twitter were increased from one.
Got your point.
So how
got your
they
point.
would, express it.
Absolutely. The nation wants to know. The nation wants to know more. The nation wants to know once more. That's what he says. And Mr. Tharoor, with his typical verbosity, says, with Twitter being bestowed double character, mercifully I will not be obliged to employ a farrago of dwarfed articulations and truncated pontifications.
I wrote it out.
What is farrago?
That's the word he loves to use.
I have no idea what farrago is.
I had to check the dictionary myself.
So what is it?
That is what Tharoorosaurus does to you. You go diving for your dictionary.
But you forgot.
So I looked it up, and it means a mixture. Farrago means a mixture of things.
Yeah. And Mr. Tharoor once, I must take this up, and somebody, the WhatsApp forward was that a person writes that, I thought I was poor. Then I met Mr. Tharoor. Now I know that I'm impecunious.
Yeah.
Doesn't change his economic condition much, but.
Yeah, a lot of memes about.
So Chetna, tell us about the book now and Trollitically incorrect the title, what you're writing about, why this book, the subject, the theme.
Well, the book, if I were to use an allegory, social media, we are all on social media. And every second day, there are studies telling us, it's not good, and, what are the demerits of being on social media, and, it's affecting our social relationships and interactions and all that. So, the whole idea of this book was not to be passing any value judgments or moral judgments. It was just accepting that, yes, social media is an integral part of our lives. And to just have fun looking at how we are behaving on the social media. So, since I saw Dr. Bali somewhere in the audience, maybe he'll
Seems to have
anyway,
gone back to the hospital.
So in any case, I would say that social media is like that sinful or irresistible double decadence donut. I'm speaking from my own choice. That if you have too much of it, it's not good, and if you have too little, you just keep craving for it. So it's that double decadence donut. So we can't do without it, and it's very much a part of our lives. So the whole idea of this book, I would say, since we're living in digital times, it's like a selfie stick, a selfie stick in which we can see ourselves, how we are behaving or not behaving. So it's like showing myself to me as much as you all are there, in the book as much as I am. So everyday things that we do on the social media, clicking selfies, updating our status. So all those things, they make their way into the book. And I talk a lot about the isms, that are very synonymous with social media, like selfieism and status updateism, and of course Shashiism and Sidhuisms and all that. So that's the core of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit more about, you talk about status updates.
Yeah.
So what do you think the generation of today, that is younger people, live for? I mean, how fulfilling is an experience on social media, in the sense that I've posted something and I've got likes from 200 people, but not from that girl whom I wanted, the like to come from. And then whenever I'm in a car or wherever I am, in the washroom or wherever, I'm on my social media all the time. So what kind of gratification is the generation of social media looking for? And many of senior citizens are also prey to the same.
Yeah, Vivek, I think it's a very superficial kind of, gratification that one gets from all this, but I think that's what our lives revolves around, I mean, I'm sure I'm also, as much in that kind of situation. I would also see how many likes my book got, So just the same way youngsters, if they post selfies or pictures, it's very important for them, how many girls in their class liked their selfie or vice versa for guys. But that's part of life. It's very superficial, no doubt, but that's how the digital life is all about. In fact, I'd like to say here that the book is also two-layered. And it has a macro narrative, the main narrative, and it has a micro narrative. I think, being a student of economic honors, I was thinking in terms of micro and macro. So the main narrative is about how we behave on the social media, whether it's being selfie conscious or updating status, or even writing obituaries. It has become an art, by writers on the social media. So there's a whole chapter devoted to that also. So that is the main narrative. And the second layer is the micro narrative, or the side script, which has a comic cast of characters drawn from our everyday life. It could be me, you, it could be your pet, my pet, and your partner, my partner. So we have a comic cast of characters: the cool cats, the brats, and the cats. So that's just to personify and punctuate the narrative and make it more relatable, to us.
Yeah, it's a very brave writer who delves into the humorous realm. I mean, it's very difficult to be able to bring out humor, make people smile, make people laugh at what you've written. It's probably easier to write something more dramatic, more serious. So it's very brave of you to do this. And then you bring out things like, I was reading, instead of when you send a text and you make a mistake, you may be writing Janamdin ki Shubh Kamnaएं, for example, and it goes as Janamdin ki Shubham Kamine.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
these are occupational hazards which will arise when you're doing such a thing. But let's talk about trolling a little bit.
Yeah.
See, when someone criticizes you, it used to happen maybe directly once in a while, through the media, maybe off and on. The papers are, somebody's given a statement criticizing a celebrity, for example. Here, potentially, you tweet or you put something or you do something, and you are open to criticism of the vitriolic kind, which goes just, like loose motions. Now, you are sitting pretty in your boudoir, wherever you are, and you tend to over-respond. Celebrities tend to over-respond.
Yeah.
somebody sitting in Chennai is tweeting about something and he said something obnoxious, how does it really affect? But people fall victim to, responding or reacting to trolls. How do you think celebrities are handling it, and what should be the etiquette, or what should be the norm, or what should we do to handle these trolls?
Yeah, absolutely. There's in fact a whole chapter and a section, devoted to that in a very hilarious manner. I've just sort of studied how celebrities respond to trolling on the social media, and I sort of, culled out some distinctive styles in which they handle the trolls. So my book talks of the piggy chops cheeky chanta. So because when Priyanka Chopra was trolled heavily for wearing
less clothes than she should have.
Yeah, doing the leg show at her meeting with the Prime Minister in Berlin. So how she snubbed the trolls was, she posted after the episode, she posted a picture of double leg show, her mother's leg show and hers. So I thought that was a good way to silence the critics. And then there is of course the Sashyism style of snubbing the trolls. You just send them diving for the dictionaries. so yeah, I think they have also evolved their very signature styles of
I think the key is probably to take things with a pinch of salt at most times.
Not take it too seriously.
Not really react and respond. I mean, often you get into slanging matches, which you can avoid.
Yeah.
But coming to the book itself, so what do you think the book is going to achieve? I mean, who's going to potentially read it, and who should read it, and what will be the impact, and how do you see your journey as a writer ahead? Maybe you could talk about that.
Well, who will read it? I think it should interest a lot of youngsters first, because they just live their life on the social media. And I think it should actually has a very universal appeal in the sense that you'll find, all of us will find ourselves in the book. We all can see ourselves, how we are pouting, we are preening, or whatever we are doing on the social media. So the book, the selfie stick is the idiom. It shows us, we no longer need to say, something has to be a mirror for ourselves. Just look into the selfie stick, and that's the new metaphor we have. And so I think it has a very universal appeal, and youngsters, of course, there's so much talk about how brats behave, the bada brats as well as the chota brats. And bada brats, I don't mean young in age, but young in the way they behave. But biologically, adults.
We understand.
You understand. Good. So I think everybody is there. We'll all find ourselves there. And the happy news is, since you asked me who all will read it, the good news is that even before the book launched, the book had already been launched on Amazon and copies were flying off. So I just hope it reaches out to a lot of readers.
So my final question before perhaps we can open it for questions for a bit. So this craft of writing a book, and how many books have you planned, or are you thinking? Do you ever plan to write fiction? What is your, you've been writing columns, right? So there it's around whatever 100 words, 600, 700. And then you come to a book, which is a whole new ball game, as the Americans would say. There you are constructing something which has to be more long lasting. A newspaper, with due apologies, vanishes into the thin air the next day. But this lasts.
Yeah.
And so their writing a book is a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
So what is your book writing journey looking like?
My book writing journey, yeah, you have a point that, writing a column is totally a different ball game, and writing a book is, I couldn't have just sort of done my column pieces and put them together. So in fact, my publisher told me, I don't know how many words, he told me 75,000, and I said, oh God, I mean, how am I going to, write so many words? Incidentally,
I must interject.
Yeah,
Her publisher is Mr. Hardeep Chandpuri, Ferntree, who deserves a round of applause. He is a great guy and he is doing very well.
Yeah.
And son of Brigadier Chandpuri, of course.
Yeah.
So
actually, so in fact, the journey with the publisher has also been pretty interesting. I actually signed a contract in Delhi to do the book. And I took, a couple of chapters I'd written. I thought they were enough to make a book. And so that publisher just looked at it and he said, this won't make a book, and you have to get me about 75,000, 1 lakh words. And I said, oh God, man. I just counted the number of months.
This is not 75,000. Could be 45,000.
This isn't, yeah. So I told them we have illustrations also, so we probably don't need, that many words. So anyway, for reasons that that book couldn't be done, before next year. So anyways, my colleague and my batchmate Hardeep was very kind enough to accommodate me, and so we ended up doing this project together. So yes, writing a book is, for people like us who do middles or humor writing, writing lengthy scripts is a challenge. But then how I've worked around it is that rather than writing longer chapters or longer pieces, do more number of topics or more number of chapters. So that way you can sort of break it.
So each chapter becomes like a column in a way.
So that is the part of writing a book. And as for my future journey of book writing, yes, I'm totally wanting to be a full-time writer now. I hope that takes off, because you cannot give the kind of time to writing if you're doing too many other things. So I'm already working on the idea of, I would say a sequel, but something on these lines, but of course with a different, storyline to it.